Hello everybody and welcome back. In the previous video, we learned how to configure and serve static files like CSS and images in our Django projects. Now it's time to move one step closer to the heart of Django, the database layer. In this lesson, we are going to talk about models in Django, what they are, how they work, and how Django turns your Python code to database tables automatically. We'll also look at where and how the database is created. And finally, we'll build our very first model, a simple book model, to see everything in action. So let's dive right in. In Django, models are one of the most powerful features. They act as a blueprint for your database. Instead of writing SQL statements manually, you simply write Python classes and Django takes care of creating and managing the database tables for you. Now let's look at what are models. Think of a model as a simple Python class that defines how your data is structured. Each model represents a table in your database. The fields in the model, like title, author, or publication date, becomes the columns in the table. And what is the best part? Django automatically handles the SQL creation for you using something called ORM, or Object Relational Mapper. That means you write the Python code, Django translates it into SQL, and the database is created or updated automatically. Now, if you have used SQL before, this might look familiar. Normally, we would write something like this SQL statement to create a table. But in Django, you write it like this, a simple Python class. Django's ORM reads this model and automatically generates the equivalent SQL code. It even creates an ID column automatically as the primary key. Now let's understand the code that we just saw. Here, book inherits from models.model, which means Django knows that it is a database model. Then chart field and date field tells Django what kind of data each column will store. And the str method is a special function that defines how the object should be displayed when you print it. In our case, it returns the book's title. Now what happens after defining a model? Once you have defined your model, you don't need to manually create the table. Just run these two commands, make migrations and migrate. The syntax is given here. Django first prepares SQL commands based on your model and then actually executes them to create your database. And the result is a file called dbsqlite3 in your project root. This is your actual database. So this Python manage.py make migrations prepares the migration files, and Python manage.py migrate actually applies the migrations to create the database tables, and this dbsqlite3 is your actual database file. Now let's look at where the database is stored. Here is how your project is organized. The models.py file is where you define your database structure, like you see here. And the migrations folder stores Django's auto-generated migration files. And once you run those migrations, the dbsqlite3 file is created. And that's your actual database. Now let's create an example book model. So here is a code for that. So here we have defined 4 fields: title, author, publication date, and ISBN. Each of these will become a column in the database. And Django also adds an ID field automatically as the primary key. So you can see you define a class like this book and it inherits from models.model. So Django knows that it is a model or you're going to work with a database. And the fields that you have here are title, which is of the type character field. So models.character field, and you give a max length as 200. And then author also is a character field. So this is how you specify it. And it has a max length of 100. And publication year is an integer field. That means it is going to be of an integer type. So this is how you define that, models.integer field. And then ISBN is also a character field with maximum length 13. Okay, and this str self is going to tell what is going to return if you are going to access this table. So if you just access this class or this table, it is going to return the title of the book. So that is what this str function means. Now this is what the equivalent SQL table would look like for that class that you created. So behind the scenes, Django will generate an SQL command like this when you run those migrations. Notice how it automatically names the table as app name underscore model name. So assuming that book underscore app was the name of your app and book is the name of your model that we saw in the class that we saw earlier. So it automatically names the table like this, app name underscore model name. And the ID column is automatically added and it is going to be the primary key. So again, notice that in the model that we defined in the class, there was no primary key that we specified explicitly, but Django automatically adds it for you. And these were the other fields that we added: title, author, publication year, and ISBN with their respective data types. Alright, now let's go to the CodeChef platform and try out a worked out example in order to demonstrate models in Django. So here I am on the CodeChef platform, and if I look at the file explorer, you can see that there is a project called book underscore project, and the name of our app that we have here is book underscore app. And here we have this models.py file under the app where we are going to define the models that we want to use in this project. So here it is this models.py file that is open over here as well on the editor. Let me just maximize it for you and let's look at how it works. Now if you see here, it is the same code that we had seen earlier. So first of all, we start with from django.db import models. This is the import that is necessary in order to work with models. And the class that we are creating here is called book, and it inherits from models.model. And then these are the fields that we have: title, author, publication year, and ISBN with their respective data types like we already saw. And if we just access this model, it is going to return the title of the book, this title. So that is what this str self means. Okay, so that's all we have in the code for the models.py. Now let us see how we can tell Django that this is a table that we want and how to actually make Django to create the table in the database. So for that, let me open the terminal here. So here first, let me navigate to the project directory, which is called book project. So cd book project, and now the command to make migrations, which is python manage.py make migrations. Now when I press enter, it says no changes detected because this is a worked out example and already this model has been created for you. Okay, so when you are doing it for the first time, it will show you that it is preparing all the migrations. And then the next command is to actually migrate. Again, python manage.py migrate. So again, like I told you, this is a worked out example. That is why all the migrations have already been applied. Now, if you do it for the first time, these migrations will be applied and Django will create the database for you. So here you have a folder called migrations, and if you expand this, you can see these are the migrations that gets created. And also this DB SQLite 3, this is the actual database that is created, and this model has been added or created in this database. Alright, now what we want to do is let's add some data to our model. So for that, these are the commands that you have to follow. First of all, we have to access the Django shell, and the command for this is python manage.py shell. Now once the shell opens, you have to type this complete code, or you can just copy it from here and paste it as well. So here it says from book app.models import book. So we are importing the model, and then book.objects.all delete. Now if there were any other instances of this model, I just want to delete it because we want to add something new. So that is why I have this command here. And then here it says new book equal to book and title equal to, I give a title here, Django for beginners. Author is William S. Vincent, and publication year is this, and this is the ISBN, and new book.save. What is new book? New book is the instance of the model that we have created over here. So what this will do is it is going to add this particular record into our database or that table that was created, and then you can also retrieve its contents by typing this code here, which is for printing all the title, author, publication year and ISBN of the data that we have entered. So you can take a look at this code, and this is how you can do it. Now in the file explorer, I have created a script folder here, and I have put all those codes in a run script.py file. So you can see that all the codes that are required are already put here, so that if you don't want to type, you can just run this script file and it will do everything for you. So here, let me just run this and show you how it works. So this run button is configured in such a way that this run script.py file would run, and adding of a new book and also printing the confirmation will all be executed automatically for you. So let me press run, and you see when I press run button, all these codes were executed, and the final step where the printing of the title, author, publication and ISBN is shown over here on the terminal. So it says new book created, and then the title of the book is Django for Beginners, then author is William S. Vincent, publication year is this, and this is the ISBN. Okay, so these are the data that we added to the table that we created. Alright, so that's how you create and retrieve your database records in Django without writing a single line of SQL. Now remember, whenever you are making the model for the first time, or if you are going to make some change in the model, you have to always run the migrations first before making use of the table or before adding records into the table, because that is when Django knows that your table has been created or updated, and it will update it in the actual database. Okay, so let me just show you an example here. Let me stop the server here and let me change the ISBN's max length to 15. So from 13 I'm changing it to 15. Okay, now let me run the migrations again. So here I open the terminal, and again I navigate to the project folder, and here when I type python manage.py make migrations and press enter, you can see here that it says alter field ISBN on book. So it's so that a change has been made here, and that change is reflected. And now you have to actually apply the migration by typing python manage.py migrate, and when I press enter, it says here applying book app 002 alter book ISBN. Okay, so that means a new migration file was created and the migration has been applied. So what is a new migration? It is a change in this max length of the ISBN. So whenever you are making any new changes or creating the model for the first time, you have to always apply the migrations. Make migration first and apply migrations, and then you can add data to the tables like we saw.
And that's how Django models work. Your Python code gets translated into a real database automatically. In this lesson, you learn how to define models, understand their structure, and to connect them to database. Now, before moving on, make sure to head over to the CodeChef platform and try out the practice problem that is available for this model lesson. That's how you can reinforce this topic in your mind. Write your own model, run migrations, and add some sample data. That's the best way to really understand how this really works. I'll see you in the next one.